Hey there, today we're going to dive into the science of storytelling. We're going to look at how you can use it to take your next presentation from something, well, forgettable, into an experience that actually has a real impact. So let me ask you a question, and be honest. Think about the last presentation you either gave or even just sat through. A week later, how much of it do you really, truly remember? If the answer is not a whole lot, don't worry, you are definitely not alone. This is a problem pretty much everyone faces. We spend all these hours gathering our data, making the slides look perfect, practicing what we're going to say, and then, poof, the message just vanishes from our audience's memory almost as soon as we're done speaking. It's a super frustrating cycle, right? Well, the reason this happens is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. See, our brains just aren't wired to remember long lists of facts or a bunch of bullet points. They're wired for narrative. We're literally designed to remember stories, not just raw data. And that, right there, is the absolute key to making your message stick. Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we build a story? It's probably not as complicated as you might think. Really, it all boils down to a classic, super powerful blueprint, the three-act structure. Think about it. Pretty much every great story you've ever heard follows this simple pattern. First up, you have the beginning. That's the setup, where you set the scene, you paint that before picture. Then comes the middle, the conflict. This is where you introduce a challenge, some kind of problem that has to be solved. And finally, you get to the end, the resolution, which gives you that satisfying conclusion and, most importantly, the main lesson. Now, as a heart of any great story, you've got to have a character. And listen, this doesn't have to be a person. Your character could be your team, it could be your company, a brand new project, or hey, it could even be the audience themselves. The really crucial part is just making them relatable, so your audience feels that connection and has someone to root for. And then there's conflict. This is the real engine that drives your story forward. And we're not talking about drama just for the sake of it. Conflict is the obstacle, the puzzle, the challenge that your character has to overcome. Honestly, without a conflict, you don't really have a story. You just have a statement. This is what creates that tension that keeps your audience leaning in, wondering what's going to happen next. And finally, of course, the resolution. This is where you bring it all home. A really good resolution doesn't just, end the story. It gives a meaningful takeaway that ties directly back to the core message you wanted to share in the first place. It's that aha moment for your audience. So we've got the blueprint, that three-act structure. Now, how do we actually build the house? Let's get into the specific techniques you can start using to really bring your narrative to life. Okay, there are three incredibly powerful techniques for this. First, personal anecdotes. They create a real sense of authenticity. Second, use vivid language. You want to paint a picture in your audience's mind. And third, you have to tap into emotional appeal to make your audience truly feel something. And this just illustrates the difference perfectly. I mean, our sales went up is a fact. It's dry, it's forgettable. But framing it as a team that battled through a tough time, a struggle that ended in a last-minute victory, well, that's a mini-story right there. It has a character, it has conflict, and it has a resolution. And it's instantly so much more engaging. Which brings us to the secret ingredient, really, emotional resonance. See, when you can connect your message to a feeling, whether that's pride or hope or just curiosity, you're not just transferring information anymore. You're creating a shared experience, and that is what makes a message stick. So why does any of this really matter? What's the actual real-world impact of shifting from just being an information provider to being a storyteller? Well, the transformation it's massive. Just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got the standard information dump. Data is just presented point blank. Your audience is totally passive, and let's be real, the message is forgotten pretty quickly. But on the other side, with a compelling story, that same data is explained. It's given context. The audience is engaged, they feel connected, and here's the most important part. The message is actually remembered long after they've left the room. If you take away just one single thing today, let it be this powerful idea right here. People might forget the exact data point you shared, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Because while information, that can be fleeting, emotion is what endures. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to really think about. For your next project, your next big meeting, your next presentation, what is the one story that you need to tell? If you can find that story, I guarantee you'll find your impact. Thanks so much for joining me.